Welcome to the history of Olm, Part 2. More to life on Olm. So, as life evolved on Olm for many millions of years, it happened outside of the knowledge of the gods, unnoticed by their senses. Until the first of intelligent life came about on Olm. The first of the intelligent life were the dragons. The dragons alone, with their intellect, contemplated much. It is up to debate on how they achieved their intelligence, for digging through various archaeological finds, it seems to have been a fairly quick thing to happen. Unlike with the other races, species of Olm that became intelligent, it was over a much longer span of time. Something had accelerated the evolution of the dragons. One dragon in particular, whose name is lost to time, but in modern records is known simply as Vought. Vought was a particularly intelligent dragon. And they were the first of mortal species to harness magic. And the way they did is they heard the various incantations and speakings of the gods. Unable to actually pronounce the languages of the gods, Vought made their own language. And this was the language of the dragons, developed specifically to emulate the language of the gods. And with this language, with this emulation, the dragons were able to manipulate magic. So they developed magic, they developed their race, and then they raised a couple other species to intelligence. And these became their slaves, their worshippers, building massive cities and massive monuments to their master's glory. The dragons were gods themselves, until the gods noticed. When the gods noticed, they did not like this threat to their power that was rising quickly among the lizards. So they came down on the dragons with furious divine might. Many of the dragons perished. Those that survived hid and slumbered. Suddenly alone once again, their empires fallen. After they came out, they were weaker, they were smaller, no longer like their primordial brethren. Still a mighty and fearsome species, the dragons were much more calm. They stuck to their hideouts, they stuck to their mountains and their caves. Some in forests, some on islands, remote and far away from anything else. But they prospered. But during their slumber, the other species of Olm began building their own. The humans, the elves, the dwarves, the gnomes, kobolds, loic, goblins, orcs. Many things arose in different shapes and sizes. The humans spread the quickest, so their intelligence was near that of the elves, and their strength near that of the orcs. They were able to flourish and manipulate the environment to suit their needs. The elves, as they spread, were manipulated by the environment to better fit their surroundings. The dwarves, some dug deep and deep until they reached a place that they named the Numurim, a place of foul magics, of weird radiations, and even weirder creatures. So they stayed above the Numurim. Some of the elves went further down, quickly being corrupted as their nature, turning into the Trow. Some of the dwarves stayed on the surface, where they became sort of a bridge between their underground cousins and the other races of the surface world. They became craftsmen, they became miners of the shallow caves, and so they flourished. The gnomes were quick to find magic. It was not the magic of the dragons, but the magic of the gods. And they were the first to begin worship of any deity. They were first to find any of the deities, for indeed the deities walked the world as we do. And so they erected great shrines, and with their worship and prayer, the gods were pleased. And so they granted to the gnomes knowledge of magic. As long as they were faithful to their particular gods' wants and needs, desires and doctrines, they would have their power. And of course, each god had different doctrines, different rules for how to be. And so the gnome society became incredibly diverse. Some of the most vicious civil wars of ancient history happened because of the gnomes and their various worship of the gods. And of course, as they spread, as their wars spread, the other races saw the power of the gods, and they began to worship as well. And religion flourished. And things began to settle again, as religion became a normal thing, as the mortal races and the gods became more aware of each other. And then the Kulnai came to Olm.